Since the inception of Governor Peter Mbah's administration in May 2023, he has been bold about his plans to implement disruptive, innovative policies, which are expected to jumpstart the state's drive to attract local and international investment opportunities. To achieve this, what has the government put in place to make Enugu State the destination of choice for business and investments, exploring areas like tourism, power, real estate, solid minerals, and more? Has the ease of doing business in Enugu State improved? We'll find out. This is the Eastern Eye. I'm Alex Obodo. My guest tonight is Dr. Sam Obuwobodo. He's the MD CEO, Enugu State Investment Development Authority. Thank you so much for joining me tonight on the Eastern Eye.
Thank you, Alex.
So,
for having me.
There's been a lot of talk about disruptive innovation of the government. And from what we've seen, some people sometimes say, okay, that a lot of deals have been signed. When are we going to start seeing the fruits of these deals? So let's start by talking about the investment climate in Enugu State. Between May 2023 and now, if one asks, what's the investment climate in Enugu like? For someone who probably just drives into Enugu and wants to make inquiries about starting a business or setting up one.
Thank you, Alex. The fundamental basis for any governance, especially in driving economies, require that you have a structured, targeted, and measurable system and initiative that you use to achieve that goal. And all these were part of what His Excellency Peter Mbah promised the state, promised the Enugu at the inauguration. And to activate that, he went straight to his office from the swearing-in ground and enacted the Executive Order number 3. That Executive Order number 3 set the tone as to how government will interface, how government will change the investment climate, how government will deal with the citizens in terms of government to business interfaces. Executive Order number 3 was groundbreaking in the sense that it not only mandated the MDAs under, of course, penalty of the lead of the head of the MDA to publish, to devise, come up with their service level agreements. The service level agreements basically will stipulate the services the MDA is supposed to provide, obviously according to their mandates and of course with the input and directive of the governor and sometimes the law, the House of Assembly. How it's going to be done, the timeline, the cost, the steps, the requirements, the documentations, put it out there and publish that so that a citizen would have to go online to the state website and see what services are there. And not only that, the executive order mandated the disclosure. In fact, for the first time, MDAs have been mandated to have a service level agreement, disclose it, and be transparently monitored. And in that SLA, you would have to put in there advanced provisions for changes. You can't just change. There are steps and also grievance redress mechanism that will now assure the citizens, the businesses that interface with the MDAs, how accountable. It puts in place accountability structure to it. And so at the core of business or investment drive, or at the core of investment growth in any society, require two things. It requires that decisions are based on predictable regulations, and that decisions are also transparently communicated. And so this is at the core. This is the building block that His Excellency initiated on the first day of his inauguration. Then he went on to insist on that. Obviously, the kind of the way he assembled his team, the way we structure the interface, the way we structure the activities of the MDAs, restructured it, and set up how to do a kind of like fundamental changes in the so-called ease of doing business. And they did that by strategic initiatives anchored on three bases: digital transformation, infrastructure advancement, and then regulatory reforms. Obviously, we have onboarded, and we're almost done with onboarding the MDAs to the e-governance platform. And so interfaces, relationship, things that you do between government and businesses and citizens are now done in ways that it will be traceable, because it's no longer about paper. And once it's there and it's recorded, the online, the digital world doesn't forget. It's also done in a way that is efficient, no longer moving files and all that. That is the target, and they have started. And for the rest of most of this part of most of the year, the government had embarked on the training and retraining of the civil servants on digital exposure, the digital platform, the e-governance structure, and all that geared towards having a predictable system where citizens, especially business, can relate to. But then with the business enabling MDAs, the BEEs as we call them, more emphasis were given on their processes to reduce the time it takes, on their redundant processes, to remove redundant processes that create bottlenecks around, and also on the fees, so that it becomes predictable. And also the mode of payment. It's no longer about going to 3, 4, 5 banks or 3, 4, 5 places to find out what you're supposed to pay. You could basically go online as we speak and look at, for instance, the SLA for Ministry of Lands, for Ministry of Trade and Investment, or even Environment, whichever ministry you want to deal with. So it's been a structured and revolutionized platform and system of approach, and that allows businesses to now anticipate and predict the outcome of the interface with government. That's one. And having done that, he also became the mouthpiece. He talks the talk and walks the walk. So he moved the state into massive investment in infrastructure, massive investment in education, massive investment in healthcare. You have to have infrastructure, you have to have a trained workforce, you have to have a healthy workforce. These are the core of a society that will succeed. And in that sense, he's preparing, and he's prepared the platform for the growth that he promised.
All right. Thank you so much for taking your time to reel that out for us. So now that you've mentioned, because you touched on real estate a bit, and it looks like in Enugu right now, real estate is such a lucrative business. And recently the governor launched what I call I think it's NGIS, I think that's what it's called. The NGs are the Minister of Lands, to have the people register their lands virtually, whatever, land records. How do you think this will change how people acquire lands, and people also with intentions to do business here, now that they know that maybe from the comfort of their homes, they can access whatever records that are available? They can take a look and say, okay, this is something we can take a look at. Do you think that it's come to that point where the would-be investors or potential investors will start licking their lips and start thinking that maybe there must be something here?
Well, the geographic information system that was recently launched is one of those initiatives aimed at enabling business environment reforms. One of the key anchor, because everything you do in business, every investment is on some land. And if you don't get it right, you're just talking. So it was a bold move to digitalize the land administration system of the state. And what it does now is, earlier in the year before this was launched, we've embarked on a lot of archiving of old documentation, and it's taking a lot to come. And so now it's been packaged in a structured way under the NGs to manage the land administration in a digitalized mode, in a transparent mode, and that cuts down. Basically, at full operation, will remove the incidences of double sales and all the wahala that we know that exists in the land administration previously. And without doing that, the investor world would not have that comfort and confidence to come and invest. Also, in addition, people invest where they feel that their investment is safe. Enugu State is safe. Part of that reform too is not just doing the soft one, the regulatory reforms. It's not just the infrastructure, it's also the security. Security is also at the core, and you would see how this government has driven that with the command center, with the robust investment in the security operatives, with the infrastructure given to them, the vehicles, the cameras, and all that. And also the focus on eradicating the so-called sit-at-home that had held the Southeast and held Enugu being part of the Southeast down. And so the place is liberated, and that's what you see. And that's why you see this upsurge in the land, in real estate investment in the state.
That's actually a real upsurge in that. So let's talk about logistics and aviation. It looks like there is a lot of talk and a lot of movement in that direction. Just recently at the town hall within the Enugu, the governor also made mention again of the coming on board of Enugu'S soonest. But then a lot of people also looking, they're talking about the transport infrastructure, which the government seems to be doing something about. Putting this together and with an international airport that isn't really off the ground, as it were, how will all that come together to really beckon on investors? I mean, if you are in the logistics and transport sector, would you be looking at Enugu and saying, maybe I can take a chance?
Sure. I mean, at the core of business is the movement of people and goods. That's really what it's about. And if you cannot move people in a very seamless manner, it inhibits the growth of businesses. Earlier in the year, the government embarked on the negotiations with the federal government, just like His Excellency mentioned or stated at the town hall. Clearly, there were clear, robust engagement with the federal government to take over and finish the long-awaited international wing, which is almost finished. And His Excellency had made it clear on that day that the negotiation is almost complete, and that's going to be done. If that happens, then it opens up this axis. This is really like a window into this part of the nation. It opens up this axis. Enugu is fortunate to have a number of other, what we used to call the aid-to-trade infrastructure, the bonded warehouses and all that at the airport. That airport is not just an international airport, it's also a cargo airport. And so it helps to bring in the cargo needed for development, and also helps to export products, both agricultural and finished manufactured goods. So yes, that is something that has to be done. But even within a measure of a functioning business-friendly society is how people move within. How comfortable, how smooth is the movement. That's also why the government took the bold initiative to establish the transport hubs, the 4 transport hubs, the one that is almost done at the Holy Ghost, which is ultra-modern, which is international standard. The Soka one, the same, and there are a few other ones that will come up at the Four Corners and Ninth Mile. So what that does is it streamlines and puts some order, some sense of order and decency in the movement of people. You will also see within the state, especially in Enugu Metropole, that a number of these modern bus stops are being constructed Why? It's because the bus stops will be done so that by the time the modern buses that we find in any other country, which is coming very soon, will be launched for the movement, the internal movement of people and goods. The bus stops will be there to facilitate and support the revolutionized transport system and the transport infrastructure that the state has invested so much money and time in. These are all geared towards making the state a first-class society, a first-class community, a first-class business destination, both to live, to do business, to invest. And it's by the time all this comes in, and that's also why you see also an upsurge in investment interest in the state, because investors smell the money from a distance. They see the seriousness behind what the Excellency is doing, and they know that this will lock in. So they're hedging their bet and coming in to tap into the what is already a success story within such a short time. And that's why, because they know there are few things that you put in place that will convince serious investors that you know what you're doing. You know, and part of doing that also is government has to be very intentional in de-risking people's investment. There are some costs, there are some burden, there are some risk that only government can remove. I had a client in my private practice who had a textile company. He was always telling me that when he came to Nigeria, his bankers in England told him, "Why are you going there? The country is bring your own infrastructure, bring your own security." You know, so we're removing all that risk because businesses cannot carry the risk of infrastructure. It's too massive. The risk of security. You know, businesses do not need to have generator, do not need to have boreholes, do not need to hire guards all over the place because it is inefficient and ultimately it's passed on to the people, the customers who already bought it too. And that's why businesses fail. And if you look at the kind of the strategy, the policies and the actions taken by this government in electricity, in transport, in security, these are not accidental. These are intentional actions, intentional policies to make the place a first-class investment destination. And we're seeing the fruits.
All right, there are many things to talk about, but let's talk about moribund assets. How, getting into the long abandoned but highly attractive, especially for the people, there is the nostalgic part to a lot of the assets that were abandoned. But then it looks like this government is paying attention now. One of them is the palm production, UPPL, United Palm Producing Company. Mm-hmm. And you also have the Sunrise Flour Mills, which the government also announced that it will be revitalizing. So, and then on the other hand, there are a few, that's the Sunrise Flour Mills there. On the other hand, there's the International Conference Center, which has been there for 16 years and counting, and even more now. But then he came aboard, he's completing it. What signal is this sending to somebody, just like you said, someone who can smell the money?
Well, let me start by being practical here. If you want me to come to your house and your house is dilapidated, I will be hesitant unless there's something else untoward that I'm coming to do. So if you have assets that you cannot put to work for you, you may not be able to protect my investment either. But besides that, these are legacy assets bequeathed to us by the founding fathers who had dreams. And, getting them to work is not just that they are symbolic, that we're getting back to our youth, our old self. It's also getting them because they are viable. Because you need that to drive this envisaged modern economy that we're all working towards. That is also unfolding before our eyes. You need a standard conference center, an international capacity center conference center to support tourism, to support businesses. You bring tourists, they will see the potential in your economy and they will invest. You need that to support the Air Enugu that we're talking about. You need that to support the even the academia. You need that to support practically everything you do. I mean, you can't talk about a city like Enugu and they can't even hold an ordinary, well, I wouldn't say that, but a convention as large as the MBA, my own association, or that of an international conference, for instance. You need such facility to do that. That's when you know that a city, a country, a state is arriving. That's when you know they are serious. You already know that, of course, the issue of sunrise goes without saying, you must eat. You must eat bread. You must eat some of it, you must do all that. And it's been abandoned for God knows how long. It's been abandoned for over 30 years. And the signal given, the seriousness given, and the support, the incentives, the speed with which deals and the bottlenecks are removed has made it possible for the investor to come. And is investing over 40 billion, I believe, both in that and also in the feedstock, in the growing of the feedstock for the plant. Presidential Hotel obviously is needed to support the International Conference Center and the general just activity. But you're also missing one point. I mean, UPPL too, where they're investing 80, Pragmatic Palms is investing 80 billion naira. In the revitalization. It's already a success too, because if you go there, the planting and the replanting is going on. But you're also missing the Niger gas. Niger gas has been abandoned for over 30 years. Niger gas, I can tell you today that it will come on board no later than February next year. The early part of first quarter next year. And so all that tells you that the government is serious. You do your own, the investors will come.
Do your own and investors will come. So let's talk about tourism properly, because we merely touched on moribund assets, and then we talked about the International Conference Center, which is, of course, something that will attract people. Some people will want to go there just to see what's happening there. But there are a few other things that probably the government will need to do to also catch the attention of the investors. I mean, the investors don't just go to work and they don't play, isn't it? Whoever is investing will also want a place they can go and relax, maybe on a Saturday, on a Sunday, or in the evenings, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, like they say, all work and no play, makes the investor a tired investor. So, and that's part of this cross-sectorial approach to our investment initiatives here. They all have something to do with the other, just like you said. On the tourism sector, there are a number of projects, there are a number of investable projects that has been packaged to bankability. And that's one of the other things that this government has done differently. In a bid to de-risk your investment, the government has invested money in scrutinizing projects, packaging them, and creating some pipelines of projects that is investment ready. And what it does, you just validate the numbers, you validate the feasibility study, you validate instead of doing it afresh. And so we've done a number of those projects, including some in the tourism sector, the waterfalls, the pine forest reinvention at the Ninth Mile, the hotels that you spoke about, the five-star hotel that is coming up, the presidential hotel that is coming up to support an already vibrant tourist market in Enugu State. Obviously, the other things that we mentioned, the infrastructure, the modernization of the infrastructure as a whole, and also the security that is getting better by the day. All that keys into encouraging and and inviting and making the state inviting to the tourists and investors.
I mean, one will need to move from place to place, which makes it very, very important for the state to have good road infrastructure. Talk to us about that, because that's one of the areas the governor has made quite an audacious statement, and there seems to be a lot of activity in that direction. Roads.
Yes.
Roads and more roads.
His Excellency committed to 10,000 kilometers in 8 years. And he's not just talking about it. He's done, on the average, a number of internal roads, a whole lot of them, internal roads, and also the ring roads, and also the rural roads. That is all going on at the same time. A couple months ago, he flagged off over 300 road projects. Before then, he also commissioned about 170 road projects across the state and even in the metropolitan. And we all witnessed that. It's just the state has become pretty much like they say a construction site. You can't again drive that investment. You can't create that climate that attracts investment without doing those really building block, foundational things that he's doing for us. And he's doing them in a very sustainable, planned and sustainable way, and using the people's resources efficiently and managing them very well.
So how does agriculture play into all this? Because we've touched on the United Palm Production Company, UPPL, but that's just one aspect. You've spoken on the issue of roads. The government also built an asphalt plant, which
Yes.
one can understand why. If you want to do 1,000 kilometers, you have to have the something that will give you the opportunity
The engineers will actually tell you that asphalt is about between 38 to 40% of the cost of building roads.
That's right.
And if you manage that input, that's variable. If you manage asphalt, the cost, and remove middlemen and do it yourself, as we're doing, it brings down drastically the cost of building roads. And that's why the government, that's why this administration is been very bullish about the road construction, because you've really gotten the key cost center, the cost factor there, which is the asphalt. It's under your control. And it was a bold one, building the largest, perhaps the largest asphalt plant in this country. I mean, within also, if you look at the timeline of this government, it's just amazing. Same thing that was done in water. I mean, it don't do a power plant, 5 point something, I think it's 5.2 megawatt power plant in 6 months, but it was done here to power our water infrastructure, to power the pumps at the 9th Mile water farm over there. So yeah, I mean, that's really a focused approach to developing these things.
So let's talk about agriculture. I'm also aware that a number of institutions or even investors have also come knocking as to whether, in various aspects, either to have a big farm or to have some kind of value chain production, either for cassava or for anything. So talk to us about how this is progressing.
Again, the agriculture sector, the approach here is to organize it in a way that is structured. First, you have to create the upsurge of production, and then you have to create some kind of aggregation and the system that offtakes the products and turns them into value addition and for export and even for local use. And in doing that, the state initiated a policy of 200 hectare farmlands per ward. And that's something that is ongoing now, where you put the small and the medium growers within that hectare to produce certain crops. And then you have the bigger side of it, where you have the special agro processing zones that are being established. Those are PPP projects that have been established. Some of them are also the government did the initial development cost, the feasibility and also the getting them to bankability. So we have that too. Where these products will key into, again, there's also the land banks, the larger ones that were created for bigger investors, and also revitalization of the ones the agricultural asset that we have in Ozowane, in Omo, and some of these other places. Those are also ongoing, and so it's geared towards massive leap in food production, in agro production, but it also is agro industrialization. It's not just producing. You have to have a facility that runs agriculture as a business, as an investable business that businesses engage in. So there have been a number of deals signed to work on those.
Mm. Okay, let's talk about e-commerce. Listening to Governor Peter Mbah, you often hear him talk about experiential learning. You also hear him talk about things that suggest that he's interested in the things around e-commerce, tech, things around that. So talk to us about the kind of interest in connecting to like minds or would-be investors that want to also take advantage of the governor's interest in this line.
You see, what the government is also doing in that is you have to really lay the backbone infrastructure for tech to thrive, for tech to take off, and one of which is having a robust fiber optics deployment in your state. So the policy of the state had been to reduce and in some instances waive the right of way. The major impediment is really the right of way fees, which is measured by linear meter, and it goes in incremental. And most businesses cannot, most of these investors cannot deal with that. So the governor, knowing that at the core for this tech and ICT is the fiber optics, signed an executive order back last year, reducing the cost to 145, and I believe very soon it's going to be zero for the right of way, which is the core cost. We've also put transparency around the acquisition of that right of way so that it's a seamless, predictable process to apply. There's a timeline for approvals and all that. And that has also enabled a lot of interest by the big players. I'm sure you see a whole lot of this going on as we speak. The government also has adopted a one dig policy. So if you have one backbone, one trunk where these fiber optics are laid, others can come in so that you don't keep digging up all the place. Yes. So that is one. There's also a project which is being developed that will create, I believe, is a type 4, type 3 hyper data center somewhere in Enugu'S state too. Most of these ICT processes go through foreign data centers in Cairo, South Africa, other countries. So we're trying to bring it here so we also control and also reap and tap into the vast, enormous market, enormous opportunities in tech. That makes it also affordable. That makes it also easier for our young, talented people to key into it. There's a number of other opportunities and initiatives going, especially some for the SMEs, the small tech young men and women at the SME center here. They're doing a great, fantastic job having routine engagement, trainings and retrainings of our tech hopefuls and even the ones here. Again, it all ties into the ease of doing business initiative. We are pursuing that like our lives depend on it. We are pursuing the regulatory reforms. We are pursuing the engagement. We are pursuing the dispute resolution. We are pursuing a whole lot of those things, both on the soft side and on the hard side, which is the infrastructure, the security, the roads, and the water. And so all that keys in they're all connected. They're all connected. to making the state an investment haven.
All right. So all these things we have mentioned will not work if there is no power. And of course, Enugu, luckily, is the first state to take charge of its regulatory market for electricity through the Enugu Electricity Regulatory Commission, EERC. So, will that be a game changer for Enugu? I hear a lot of people are coming from all over the place to take a look at the documents and how they managed to be the first to do it. So, I hope Enugu will justify the fact that they are the first to actually have a law in place and now have regulatory authority.
Well, there's a saying which I think holds true for most part. No power, no life. No power, no security. No power, nothing. You have no power, you have no economy, really. And that's even here, there's nothing you do without electricity. And you know, it's obvious why the state went bullish, went frontal about it. The federal government of the country, devolved the power sector to the states and removed it from the exclusive, devolved it into the concurrent, where anyone can play in the 3 or 4 value chains of power. And what that meant is if you can ring-fence your state and focus on it, and you can create your own power. And that's what the state did. First, with the enactment of the law, one of the first in the country. And secondly, with the establishment of the Regulatory Commission, the Enugu'S Electricity Regulatory Commission, and fully funded and manned by some of the best, even some from the national government and some from some of our diasporans who have come back to work there. So that is the first key. If you can license an investor in power, you got it made. I can tell you that because of some of the bottlenecks at the neck, because you're dealing with a problem from afar. Our own regulatory authority is dealing with it from
closer.
Is dealing with it from his backyard, so from the closer. And as such, there's no reason why they cannot do it and some of those.
You can just look over the fence and see what they're doing.
So you're able to, without bothering about what is going on elsewhere, set your own tariff. And tariff is at the core of power, because the investor must have a cost-reflective tariff that he can use to get a return on his investment, to get his money back. It's not charity. And so we're going to have that, and we are going to make it easier to license investment in the whole value chain. We're also going to make it easy to exploit the natural resources that we have that will power the coal, the natural gas and all that we have abundant in the state.
All right. So let's talk about the tax regime. Some people believe that the tax is too much in the state. What's really the policy? Because I've heard the head of the revenue service in Enugu say that they've not added any new tax, that they are simply implementing the law. They are simply asking people to pay already existing taxes. Why do you think people seem to misunderstand the whole process? And how important is it for the government to continue to actually put the right information out there regarding its tax regime?
Well, of course, you can't have it all. There's a popular saying that good soup na money maker. While nobody, it hurts to let your money go, but it's required to have a decent, successful society. His Excellency Peter Mbah will not do what he's doing without the funds from the citizens. What the citizens should be worried about is the process, which we've also done a lot of work in streamlining the process of tax collection. We've initiated the consolidated demand notice system, where all the major tax and charges and fees are put in one place, and the business takes it and knows what it's supposed to pay. It takes away the touts and all that. But again, it's a process. If you're used to doing something a different way, this is business as usual. Like the chairman said, the chairman of the Internal Revenue Services said, there's no new taxes here. There's also no double taxation. It's just renewed enforcement, renewed collection, pulling people that were outside the tax net into the tax net to chip in their own little share. We all drive on the roads. We all enjoy that's the only way to improve is to have is everyone in their own little way to pay. What the government now owes us and owes the citizens is to utilize it, transparently and utilize it solely for what it's supposed to be done with in an accountable manner. Secondly, to make the payment of the taxes easy and not cumbersome, which are some of the groundbreaking initiatives that we've put in place in the state. Digitalizing the payment system, digitalizing the tax return system, digitalizing even the taxes that you pay, they're all online, and making it easier so that you can sit in your house and pay that. But again, people must pay. Anywhere in the world, taxes are always contentious. Nobody wants to pay, even in advanced countries. Yeah. But the government needs some understanding, while also government must continue to improve and communicate and give advance notices. Listen. And I think we're doing that. All right. I think the chairman is doing that. I think the governor has on many occasions explained the position, and I'm hoping that we can just give this government some time. All
right, we have about 2.5 minutes to go.
Wow.
I told you that you were asking me how long will the interview be, and I told you that it will get to a time and you say, oh, we're about to go, and you are looking at the time. When did we get here? About security. Security seems to be at the heart of everything we talk about in this country, especially now if you're in the southeast. And Governor Peter Simba seems to be doing a few things regarding security. But what we have on the ground, would that be enough for the investors to really be impressed and say, all right, I think my investments will be secure?
Yes, the investors are looking at the security of their life and security of their properties or their investment, security of their homes that will not be taken, and security of their land that will not be involved in some of these mushy things that happen. And as such, the GIS thing is geared towards resolving that land acquisition side. But again, the security thing is an incremental active. Even though what the government has done in less than 2 years is a major boost. Is exponential, groundbreaking, revolutionary. If you look at the involvement, the creation of an AI, a tech-enabled security architecture. We've never had it before. Going from the purely manual, you need other purely manual thing too, the police, the army, and other, but you also need to put some order, to put some management system, put some modern infrastructure in the way you prosecute your security needs, and which is been done. The cameras, the vehicle, the command center, again, is something else. You just need to see what is going on there, and it can only improve. I mean, security is a constant thing because it continues to change. It changes anywhere in the world. I mean, if you just need to look at CNN and see what is going on everywhere. And so it's not isolated, but what is important is that this government is focused on on continuing to improve, making the states the safest, and continue to have it so.
And on that note, I have to thank you so much, Dr. Sam Obunwobodo, the MD CEO of the Enugu Investment Development Authority. Thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you, Alex, and I wish you and our great viewers happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year.
That's right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's the Eastern Eye for tonight. We'll be back here tomorrow, same time. Up next is Nka. My name is Alex Obodo. Merry Christmas and good night.